Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. So today we're going to talk about the Sparrow again, because what I was talking about yesterday actually happened. So they increased the break lock time for a very hefty amount. You know, it severely increased in many missiles. But I think the main one is the Sparrow. So no more self-exploding missile just after launch after 5 seconds. Now you can actually lose the lock and try to reacquire the lock. The only problem that we have there is that it needs to be on the FOV of the missile. Okay, guys? So it doesn't really work on the sense of the art as like if it was the R-27s, you know. So the R-27, you can actually launch a missile, lose the lock, and completely change the target. The target can be like 90 degrees for the left, and the missile will try to hit that target. It doesn't mean that it will be able to because of the energy, but it will try to because it does have the INS together with data link. So the Sparrow doesn't have that. So it means that the missile will basically just be ballistic until you reacquire the lock. Sometimes you will not be able to reacquire the lock, or you will be able to reacquire the lock, but the missile or the target will be outside the FOV, meaning that it won't work, the reacquiring that you were trying to do. But the thing that you have to learn about this is that it is a much, much better missile. But is it enough? Is it on par with the R-27s? Well, I don't think so, guys. The initial thought that I had was that, yes, it is a big change, and I think it really changes the Sparrow as a missile. And remember, the Sparrow F and M are the main radar missiles for a lot of nations. The majority of nations use these two missiles as their main BVR/radar missile, right? So if it's a buff for any Sparrow like that, it means that it's a buff for any nation that uses it as well. But is it enough? Well, the thing is that the R-27Es, they still basically range you with the Sparrow and outmaneuver you by 10 Gs. So in a sense, well, first of all, the R-27 is a better missile right now for the meta. It doesn't matter if the Sparrow gets this max break lock time or not. And the other thing that it's really, really important to think about is that the limitations that the Sparrow still has. So, the main thing is the FOV. It doesn't have a data link or anything like that. If he had at least a data link, it would be able to actually get a lock, for example, and it would receive the information from the mothership to the target in a way that you can actually make the missile turn, right? So it means that the missile would actually know where the target is because of the main mothership's radar lock, and it would give that information to the radar, to the Sparrow, even if the Sparrow doesn't see the target or anything like that. The missile will be having kind of an idea where the target is, because the aircraft is sending that information, and it's not only requiring to have the information coming from the radar bouncing, or the radiation bouncing back from the target, right? So this is what we kind of need for the Sparrow to be on par with the R-27, to be honest. Even then, it wouldn't be exactly on par, because as I said, the R-27Es, they still have more energy and more turning capabilities than the Sparrow, but at least it would give the Sparrow a chance of actually being as reliable as the R-27, which is something that only the R-27 can actually do. What I mean about reliable is a missile that you can actually get, how do I even say this, like consistent kills from a BVR standpoint, from up close, every single situation. And there's no such missile that is comparable right now to the R-27. The R-27 is just the missile to go to. You get the most amount of kills. Even though, yes, it is defeatable. You can miss the target and stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, it's the best out there in the game. And there is only one possibility to go, and many sources claim that the MH version of the M7 would have that data link. So it's I don't know, it's kind of a, I mean, it's okay. It's not like the Sparrow is like the worst missile ever. It is really, really good, but the R-27 is better. And, you know, of course, we are going to receive the Fox 3 missiles, which I think are going to bring a lot more balance to that type of gameplay into the game, right? So it will be a lot more balanced because everybody will have a properly good missile, radar missile that will be on par with everything else, right? Even though the R-77, for example, has very unique differences in aerodynamics and dynamics compared to the M120 and compared to the Mika and everything like that. There are differences between the missiles, and of course there will be missiles that will be better than the other ones. At the end of the day, you know, they always going to have the same kind of capability. They will always be a Fox 3. They will always have kind of the same range or around the same range, kind of the same turning capability. So at the end of the day, they are going to be kind of the same missile with small uniquenesses to each of their own missile, right? And the Sparrow and the R-27, for example, they're very different missiles right now. The Super 530 to the R-27 and the Sparrow, they're all very, very different as well. So that's the thing, right? And is it a big thing that, oh my god, it needs full attention? No, I think it's all right for now. But since we have a very much a late 80s R-27, to say the least, which are the E's, you know, that they were developing throughout the 80s, but really they started to see squadrons and stuff in the really late 80s. It would be kind of fair to have a late 80s Sparrow as well, right? Which is the MH. So maybe people need to understand more about this missile and learn more about it, because not a lot of people talk about it. I try to talk about it every single time I say something about the Sparrow, because I really think it's something that needs to be added. But although the Sparrow buff is a big and very welcome change, it's really not enough yet, I don't think. So hopefully we get that change and those type of things before we get to Fox 3s, so that we have an enjoyable experience for BVR players that really want to use the American aircraft or any NATO aircraft for BVR. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think about the performance of the Sparrow right now, if the buff actually affected you or not. I think it just becomes a lot more reliable, as I said, so it is just not going to just self-explode out of nowhere just because you lost the lock for a tiny little bit of like time. So it makes it up for it to be what the Sparrow is supposed to be, a very standard and very good missile in all sorts of ways. But as I said, it's still not on par with the R-27, and I think it would be cool to have a little bit better of a performance just with the data link. It would be the same missile. It's just that it would mean that the missile would know where a target is just because you have a lock on. So you wouldn't have an INS like the R-27. You wouldn't continue to turn after you lose the lock, but it would become ballistic until you get a lock. But once you get a lock, it doesn't matter where the target is, where is the FOV of the missile or anything like that. The missile would receive the information from the mothership aircraft and actually make the turns possible to actually reacquire the radiation coming back from the enemy's aircraft. But yeah, anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.